Hi, my name's Alice Brown. I'm a political science student at the University of Toronto. What attracted me to Isaac was Isaac's understanding of two important aspects in bringing them together, that being youth empowerment and global community, and how Isaac's done this amazing thing of bringing these two things together so that as youth move forward, they have an understanding of themselves and being empowered, and also of the importance of global and international community. I think that's a really amazing thing that Isaac has done. And what drew me to this project is that it could give me the opportunity to understand the world as a global community. And I think that that's a completely invaluable experience that I could gain through Isaac. For my personal long-term plans, I plan on being an international lawyer because I want to help my global community, and I think this is how my skill set best suits it. And I think Isaac could help me achieve this through giving me an international perspective. If I were to work as an international lawyer, I would want to do it being aware of what the international community is. I would never want to do it out of a place of ignorance. And I think Isaac could help me better understand the people who I'd be helping as an international lawyer, what they're going through. And I think that's completely invaluable. I'd say my top values are of education and knowledge. I never want to be ignorant. I never want to come from a place of, not knowing something and thinking that that's better. I want to be aware of how I factor into the global community and how the global community is affecting everything. So I think that's my top value for both for me and for other people, of education and knowledge. My expectations from Isaac are to be able to learn and help people in global sense, and to also to come away with a greater understanding of the world as an interconnected community, and to be able to see and understand more of it, and then to be able to share that kind of when I get home. I think I could contribute to this project through being incredibly passionate about the work that's being done, of really of being 100% there in everything that I do, and always putting my all in. I think that I can contribute with that. I'm an adaptable person, and I would love to be a part of a project like this, and I think that love and that passion would really come through in any of the work that I do. Sorry, I'm just reading the questions. My top 3 strengths, I think, are that I am incredibly passionate. I'm incredibly enthusiastic. I'd say that's probably my top strength, that I care about the work that I do, and that kind of leads me into my second strength, is that I'm hardworking. That enthusiasm leads me to be incredibly hardworking and dedicated to all of the work that I do. And I think that my third strength is communication. I love to discuss and share ideas, and I also think a part of communication is listening. So I think that I can have conversations and share my ideas, and also receive ideas and learn from that. And I think that's, I'd say those are my top 3 strengths. For my weaknesses, I'd say that something that kind of comes from being so passionate about my work is that sometimes I can be a little overwhelmed or a little stressed because I care so much about the things that I'm doing. But I think that as much as it might be a part of the problem, it's also the solution, in the sense that whenever I'm getting stressed out or overwhelmed, I just remind myself of why I'm doing this, and just kind of to put things into perspective. I think is the most important thing when I'm feeling overwhelmed, and I think that over the years I've kind of become aware of this problem and become quite good at taking a step back. And another thing that can happen to me because I'm so enthusiastic is I can sometimes be unorganized in the projects that I take on, because I'm so excited that I get lost in the planning and things, because I want to do everything and things like that. But I think how I deal with that now that I've become aware of this problem is before I get too into a project, I like to plan things through so that I can be excited in the moment, but also be sticking to a plan that is being prepared to create, kind of guidance, and so that things don't get too difficult. And I'd say another weakness that I have is sometimes I can overlook things if things are too excited, or the moments there's so much going on that sometimes I'll overlook the smaller details. But now that I've kind of become aware of that, I realize how important those details can be, and I try a lot harder to be focused on on the smaller details and to be more organized so that I don't miss those things. I think the people around me perceive me as being outgoing. I like people. I like to talk to people both in intellectual and social capacities, in discussing ideas and issues, and in making friends and being a part of a community. So I think that is like the main thing that comes across in me. I think people also perceive me as being very passionate. I tend to talk about like issues with people because I want people to be aware. So I think that's something that comes across when people meet me, or if the people in my life were to describe me. I'm passionate about a lot of things, but I think specifically I'm very passionate about education. As a first year university student, I've been educating myself and been going through an educational process for basically my whole life, and I understand how important primary and education is, and secondary education and university education, and with that, I want to share that with other people, and so I do a lot of activities that kind of relate to that passion. I help tutor kids, and I help them. I have a reading buddy helping children learn to read, things like that. I also kind of outside of the academic environment, I'm a Girl Guide leader, and I think that through that we empower young women to be very excited about their education, even though it's not affiliated with their schools. We teach them about things. We teach them about how fun science can be, and they go back to school with that understanding that science is fun, or that that these social issues exist, and that kind of greater understanding and that excitement that we share with them through Girl Guides, I think does help in their education. For my definition of empowering others, I think that empowering other people is on a kind of one-to-one basis. I think that the best way to empower another person is to keep it tailored to them, because everyone has skills. So when you know someone and you can be like, you're very creative, and that's going to empower them more than just than any kind of like bland, like sweeping statement, because it's going to be personal. And I think that's how you best empower people. And for me, that would be my definition of empowerment. The last time I shared a creative idea, I think, was just over the last month. I've been working with, I'm part of the University of Toronto Farm Committee. So what we do is we kind of run and maintain this local farm just outside of Toronto, both kind of as an oasis for students to go and to be like, wow, this is really pretty and relax, but also to teach people about agriculture. And something that we've been implementing there recently is to teach people to take this traditional platform and teach them about new forms of agriculture. The agriculture industry is changing so much, and sustainable agriculture is such a large issue, and I've been spearheading a campaign to teach people about urban agriculture as a solution, or a partial solution, to this massive world issue, because it's something that I'm passionate about, and I think taking that traditional platform and using it to share this untraditional and new idea of agriculture has been a creative thing that I've done recently. I'm involved in many social projects. I was, head of student government, head of a Monument Club, to kind of get people excited with their educations in those ways. As I said, was a Girl Guide leader here at the University of Toronto. I'm a part of mentorship programs for both mentoring women and also for mentoring high school students who are applying to the university. And I also am, as I said, a part of the University of Toronto Farm Committee, and help run and maintain that farm and teach people about agriculture. If I was in the middle of a project and I ran into, a situation in which, I was lost and my phone was dead, I think the best way to deal with a situation like that is actually to plan for it, to be aware that things like that can happen. And if I was traveling to a new nation, I think before I go, I'd learn basic phrases that could help me if I was lost, things like, can I have some directions, or things like that. And then also I would make sure to carry a map with me at all times and some money for transportation home. So I think planning ahead for situations like that is the best way to deal with it. If I was working with someone whose working style didn't work with mine, or was different with mine, I think that in my experience, the best way of dealing with this is through communication and through honesty, and saying, these are the things that I think aren't working, and it's a two-way street in just having a conversation with a person, especially in a situation like this. And in the past, when I've been working on projects that I'm passionate about, what I find best to do is to take a step back and be like, okay, we're both passionate about this. So like, if there's a rose with another guide leader, I would say to them, we're both here to empower young women, to help them get their best start. That's the most important thing. These problems that we're having are secondary, so how are we going to deal with it so that our main goal, so that the empowerment of young women isn't affected by this? So I think that is usually how I would deal with a circumstance like that. I think the biggest challenge that I've overcome personally in my life is dealing with my disability of mild dyslexia. And I think I've overcome that in the sense that academically I did very well. For myself, I'm at a good university and attained good grades through hard work. But I also think like overcoming that, a part of that was to just understand that education is kind of more than, the traditional sense. And once I got past that, I managed to get excited about my education, excited about the things I was studying, and then I kind of overcame the challenges as they came. If this project didn't meet my expectations, like I don't have a set of expectations. I'm going to learn, I'm going to experience a new culture, and I think a part of that is the unpredictability of it. So I wouldn't be upset if this was different than I expected, because I hope that it is in some ways. I hope that it's a very different than anything I've ever experienced. If I was the president of a youth organization, I could tackle one issue. I think it would be women inequality, gender inequality, because I think it's an issue that affects everyone in a sense. Like it affects 50% of the population directly, but it affects everyone, because when great ideas and amazing minds were held back because of their gender, that is going to have a negative impact on everyone. So I think that is what I would tackle. I chose Indonesia because I think that it's a completely different environment than anywhere I've ever been or experienced, and that's what I want, somewhere that is going to challenge me in some ways and be different so that I can experience another culture. And why I chose this project, I think it's probably come across throughout this interview that I'm incredibly passionate about the work that is being done here in this project in education and in helping young people to see the problems in the world. And that is why I chose this project. And I think that the project is in this location because of the fact that only 10.9% of the population is getting a primary education. And I think that, to teach people, we want to teach people who might not have the opportunity to be taught. And I think that's why it is where it is. The idea of the project only having 9 days of vacation or less is completely fine with me. I don't want to go for the sense of having a vacation. I want to go to learn. I want to go to experience things. So if I had 0 days of vacation, I would be fine. I'd be happy to work as much as I could. And yeah, if there was work during any of the holidays and days off, I would be fine with that, because, I would just be excited to be there, and I would be happy to work as much as I could. And the working environment being different is actually why I want to do this. It wouldn't be, I want to experience a different kind of working environment. So, if there were problems that arose with this between it being different, I think I would just see it as a learning opportunity, an opportunity to learn about how other people, experience and work. And I would be really excited about that. Yeah, and if on a weekend there were things to do, I would be happy to do things over a weekend. And just because I'm so excited about the work that's being done, it wouldn't really even feel like work, because this is something I'm passionate about, Sorry, how do you see your organizing committee as your boss or part of the police opinions? I think that in a situation like this, like the committee of people who are working to put this together, I think we all have this common ground of being incredibly passionate about this work, and I would see them as like, in a way, authority figures, but also with partners, because of that shared commonality of just wanting to help and wanting to do the best that we can. And I think the reason that you should pick me for this, even though you have so many, I'm sure, well-suited applicants, is because I think that I can give a level of passion and enthusiasm that I think is going to be hard to find anywhere else. I'm knowledgeable with the work that you're doing and excited to partake and help in any way that I can. I'm adaptable and incredibly enthusiastic about the things that you're doing. And I think that that's why you should pick me. I think that you're never going to find anyone who would be more excited to partake in a project like this. So thank you so much for considering me, and it was nice to do this video interview. Thank you. Bye-bye.